Sister Nora was brought up in a little farm on the west of Ireland, in the west of Ireland, and she went to school to the Mercy Sisters. And in the meantime, while we were there, another sister with me, well, she became a sister. This lovely sister, Mother Victoire, came over. She was from Matlock, and she came and talked to the girls. And I was very impressed by her, not so much by what she said as by the person herself. So I decided I would like to join that group. But then she said they had houses in India. And I said, no, I'm not really interested in India. I want to go to Africa. And she said, well, the only place we have houses is in India. And we do nursing and we do teaching. Well, I said the teaching would appeal to me, but I don't think the nursing would. But then I thought of other groups, and I kept thinking all the time, no, this is the group I want to go to, whether it's India or not. So I decided I would give my name, and within 6 months I found myself in Castleconnell, where I did my novitiate. My mother was delighted. My father was not too happy, but he didn't object. And one of his last words to me when I was leaving home was, now listen, dear, if you want to come back, you will be very, very welcome. My brothers and sisters were quite happy about it. They didn't like to lose me, even though we used to often fight. But at the same time, there was no objection. I belonged really to a very Catholic family. You know, when my dad would go out ploughing, he would always say, all for thee, O my Lord. And he would never go out without taking the holy water. And my mother was what you would call pious. Now, Dad was a very good man, but my mother was holy and pious. But a lovely woman. At the moment, I came here from Mayo Place because that was a house we had out in. And I was quite happy to come here actually, because it was coming back to the place that I first came to. And I thought, now what will I be doing here? I had been teaching in Wads all the time that I was in Mayo Place. And I was also working in the Archbishop's office. So I continued with that work in the Archbishop's office and teaching in Wads. And I found myself getting, as usual, caught up in all kinds of other things like gardening and etc., etc., etc. When I first arrived in Zimbabwe, did I tell you the story that I was met by this priest dressed in some sort of a white safari suit, whitish. And I said, I'm not going with that fella, because I never saw a priest that wasn't dressed completely in black. And quite honestly, I was a bit apprehensive, but I thought, well, I have to go somewhere. And he said he'd bring me to St. Michael's. So I came to St. Michael's, and there were two sisters here. Now, they would possibly be in their 40s, and I thought they were ancient. But they went to, I had a good bit of sympathy for them, because I knew that they were trying to build, get money, borrow money to build a school and to start a school. That Wads was not built when I came here. It was then St. Michael's Prep School. But it wasn't there. But when it was built, it was St. Michael's Prep School. But I really had too much to do. I was cooking for the children. I was teaching a full-time class. I was doing all the laundry. I was looking after rabbits. I was looking after hens. And anything that came the way, I was doing it. I sort of enjoyed doing it, but I know myself it was too much, and I really didn't have time for prayer or for myself. And again, the two sisters with me were not to blame, because neither did they have time. You know, I think really getting to know Nano, because in our novitiate, Nano was hardly ever mentioned. I don't know why. But, and again, when we were asked, would we like to be presentation sisters, we weren't told about Nano at all. We were told about our Blessed Lady. And I suppose that devotion to our Blessed Lady that I got from my mother has still stayed with me. And I love the feasts of Our Lady. And I have a special devotion to our Blessed Lady. And of late, one of the things the last few years, the writings of Saint Benedict, they have really helped me tremendously. As well as that, I met a spiritual director, Benedictine, and he really helped me tremendously. But before that, I did a 30 days retreat, which was a great grace. Well, I suppose really, you know, I was teaching here in St. Michael's, and I had an appendicitis, and I didn't recover. And the doctor asked me, was I happy here? And I said, not really, because I didn't really come out to Africa to teach little white boys. I came to be with Africans. So I told him this. Well, he said, actually, I think, he said, I'll suggest that you have a change from St. Michael's. I ended up in St. Killian's Mission, where Sister Judith's home is. Of course, she was only in God's mind at the time. And from the moment I got there, I felt at home, in every sense of the word. And I loved the time. I could go for long, lonely walks on my own. And it was really a time of contemplation, though at the time I didn't realise that it was. I loved those children. And when I was asked to leave, I must say, I cried my eyes out. So that was my first mission. The other was, I went to Mount Melleray then. All right, but it was very isolated from the people. Then I went to Avila Mission, where the children, the people were starving, literally starving. They came in to the mission and they say, oh, Dine Zara, which is, I am hungry. So ourselves and the Carmelite priests did everything we could to make life easier for them. I was teaching at the same time, top primary, and loved it. And you know, they were one of the brightest classes. They were in the poorest area, but they were one of the brightest classes. And I think those mission experiences were really what made my life. And then I was in Nagan House, and they decided that we would go to a new mission, St. Benedict's. And at first I was fond of Nagan and I liked the teaching there. I didn't like to go, but I was there for 6 years during the war, the liberation struggle. It was no joke, because the people were in and out, the Bakaman as we called them, the terrorists, they were called by the whites. Of course I was black in mind and black in feelings and black in emotions, and they were the people I loved. But when I had to leave there, I was literally heartbroken, and I had a bit of a breakdown. But again, that was a blessing, because I could see then that it was necessary for me to get back into community and the riches of living in a community. I love the sisters there. Not all of them now, there were one or two that I could have done without. But on the whole, I really loved them, and they were very good to me. And again, after a time, I was allowed to do what I really loved, and that was teaching. I had been teaching it on the mission, teaching literature, English literature, which I loved. I had my 90th birthday on the 21st of March this year. Start by giving themselves as much as they can to God, and He will do the rest. It really, prayer in my life and being with God and the opportunities I have here, because even though I am working, I'm not occupied, I do have more time for God. So if the girl can help or understand how much God loves her, she'll get there. Not so much how much she loves God as how much God loves her. I think being with the Carmelites and Carmelite spirituality, that was a great help. And then, as I said, when I left them, I still have a Carmelite coming to visit me now and again for the Sacrament of Reconciliation. But it was the Benedictine who was my spiritual director. But I no longer, when I see him occasionally, he's too far away. I belong really to a family who are very interested in games. But all my years in the mission, we didn't have a TV, we didn't have a radio, we didn't have anything like that. But I used to help with the boys' soccer and with the girls' basketball. And that kept my interest up. And then when I left there was a young boy that I was with in Mayo Place, and the two of us used to watch football matches together. He was a very good little footballer, and the two of us got interested. Then when I came here, I was very glad of sort of an outlet, if you like. And Sister Margaret very kindly got this special TV, because the sisters were always looking at the news and I wasn't remotely interested. So I watch my matches every weekend, and sometimes if there is my team are playing during the week, I watch that too, at the expense of going to bed late, which I don't like. Manchester United, and the reason for that was both them and Everton and Liverpool, because I read a good bit about their background, and most of them came from poor families, and as well as that, they had Irish backgrounds. So that was what got my interest.